Sick deck, bro, sick deck. What's going on, guys? This is Miasin and welcome to my DESPIA, pure DESPIA deck profile. You could also play the Brave Token engine in this deck, and I will be showing you guys relatively soon a completely different build that actually plays the Brave Token. A little bit more competitive, I guess, but also way more expensive, so I really hope your bank account will be ready for that version. But if you want to play this, the pure build, I got you, don't even worry about it. But before this video starts, make sure you like and subscribe, check me out on Twitch and Instagram, and of course, let's try to get this video to 1,000 likes. I will be making a live stream on this deck if we manage to get that 1,000 likes. So now let's jump right into it. I'm playing one Ad Libitum and one DESPIA Comedy. These are the two one-ofs. Not really cards that you're actually trying to draw because they don't get anything started on their own. A Lubird is actually the Stratos of the deck. On normal or special summon, you get to search a branded spell and trap. It also has a worse graveyard effect, not super broken, but still relatively decent. But what is really important is the recursion that you get with Ad Libitum when it is used as a fusion material, and the fact that DESPIA Comedy both acts as a hand trap and as a grave trap in a way, in order to protect your Lubird from getting Veilered, or your fusion monsters like Lubellion from getting Veilered if it's in the graveyard. So that is the thing that you have to keep in mind when you see these two cards, and if you're still confused, go watch my combo video. Everything has been made clear there. So yeah, 3 Lubird, that's a no-brainer. If you're broke, you can play with 2 Lubird, that actually works fine, because it's very easy to access with cards like Gold Sark and Foolish Burial. And of course, Branded Opening and Branded Opening is this card, and Branded Fusion can get you to your engine, even if you don't physically draw the Lubird, so it's all good in the hood. And I'm playing 2 Fallen of Albaz, but 1 Fallen of Albaz actually works completely fine as well. It's just that I wanted a little bit more leeway, because if I get something like my Fallen of Albaz gets banished face down or something weird, I'm kind of screwed, and like, I don't know, I just wanted a little bit more security, so that's really it. It's very similar to how some hero players play 2 Increase instead of only 1, but a little bit more different because the Fallen of Albaz, you can also shuffle it with a Lubellion, so it's a different mentality. But remember that your Branded Fusion can only fuse for monsters that list Fallen of Albaz in their material. Yeah, that's the reason why Fallen of Albaz is kind of necessary, even though it's not the best card to draw. It still has like a Super Poly-esque effect on the field, but it loses to Ghost Ogre, whereas the rest of the deck does not lose to Ghost Ogre. And that's an advantage, by the way, that this deck has that the Brave Token engine doesn't have. Well, the Brave Token DESPIA deck doesn't have. It's the fact that Fateful Adventurer loses to Ogre, but none of these cards literally lose to Ogre at all, so you're all good in the hood. Anyways, the hand traps, I'm playing freaking 15. 3 Ash, 3 Ogre for Rite of Aramesia. Well, sorry, Jesus. Journey of Destiny. Ghost Bell for the mirror match because you really wanted to negate the Branded Exile, and Branded Exile is this card in Branded in red. And Effect Veiler and Imperm, very self-explanatory, so I'm not even going to bother. 15 motherfucking hand traps, but you could also play less hand traps and play Super Poly. If you are playing a lot of hand traps, it makes Crossout Designator infinitely better, so that is one thing that I kind of appreciate about this configuration. But yeah, anyways, 3 Branded Fusion, obviously. Gold Sark and Foolish, very similar cards. They send DESPIA Tragedy. Either when it's sent or banished by a card effect, you can search your deck for a DESPIA monster, so that's the reason why these two cards basically are identical. But again, in the Brave Token build, Foolish Burial is a little better because you can send the Aquamancer, which gets you your Rite of Aramesia with the Griffin, so you can protect your Branded Fusion. 3 Pot of Prosperity. If you're wondering, what do you usually banish with Prosperity? I actually go for 1 Masquerade, 1 Quartis, 1 Albion, the Dark, the Relinquished Anima, the Titanic Lad, and I think that's already 6. I can't count, but yeah. If you're only trying to banish 3 cards, I think the 2 Link monsters always have to get banished with, like, I don't know, maybe the Quartis or something like that. But yeah, a very good card. You don't really draw in this deck on your own turn. Ironically, you draw on your opponent's turn with Guardian Chimera, but on your own turn, not super. It doesn't really conflict, so very nice card. And if you draw like too many copies, one of them will just be a discard for the Lubellion anyways, so you're fine. Anyways, Call by the Grave, triple Branded Opening, another card that discards, so redundant cards in your hand aren't like the end of the world. 3 Crossout, obviously. This card has to be played in every single DESPIA deck because mirror matches are heavily decided on who gets to resolve Branded in red first. This card is FTK. And also, with Crossout, you can also negate Branded Fusion because, yes, Crossout is not like Call by the Grave. It doesn't just negate hand traps. It negates spell cards as well and trap cards. So, yeah, it's broken in mirror matches, and in a format where you know for a fact that everybody is going to be playing DESPIA, or decks that have a lot of hand traps, Crossout Designator is just absolutely fantastic. Yeah, 2 Branded in red. I don't want to play 3 because it might be bricky. Branded Exile might actually be taken out and being side decked instead. That's what the OCG players are doing, but again, I'm preparing myself heavily for mirror matches, so that's the reason why it's there. It doesn't exist in the TCG yet. It will be out in Dimension Force, which is coming out very, very soon. For the extra deck, I'm going with the very typical, standard, boring lineup of monsters that literally every single human on Earth is playing anyways. So 2 Guardian Chimera, 2 Mirror Jade, 2 Lubellion, 1 Quartus, 2 Masquerade, Titanic Cloud, triple Albion, 1 Dark, and 1 Relinquished Anima. Now I'll start explaining things. So Relinquished Anima is there because if you have Tragedy with Branded in red, you want to get a monster in the grave, so you can use the Branded in red, recycle back the Tragedy, and then make like Guardian Chimera on your opponent's turn. So its actual effect doesn't really come up that much. It's really just so you can get Tragedy in the grave. You don't really want to play something like Salamangreat Elmirage because Elmirage barely has an effect, whereas Relinquished Anima kinda does, so maybe it might come up sometimes if people misplay and put their important monsters in column 2 and 4. And Dark can revive back your opponent a Luber or search a Luber when you crash it, or revive back very powerful cards like Phoenix Enforcer or, I don't know, Access Code or other monsters. Albion is a 3 because it's not necessarily a monster that you're trying to summon, but rather send to the graveyard continuously with Mirror Jade. So you're always trying to use its graveyard effect, not necessarily the on-field effect like I said. Titanic Clad is a worst version of Albion, but you can actually also summon it. Masquerade is a broken card against a few decks such as Prank Kids, so sometimes the real win condition is Masquerade Turbo. And now, Quartus is a very good card when your opponent is about to destroy all of your monsters. You chain to summon the Quartus, and then you immediately summon a Despia monster when it dies, or search a Despia monster. Very nice. And then the 2 Lubellion is a no-brainer, 2 Mirror Jade as well, and 2 Guardian Chimera because this deck actually is literally Guardian Chimera control. And for the idea section, this is where it gets pretty interesting. So I am playing the DPE engine considering it does not get banned, but if it does get banned, then it will no longer really be an option. And by the way, when I say considering it might get banned, I'm really talking about Verte Anaconda. So I'm kind of preparing myself for the future, but if you don't really care, and you really want to play Verte with a Fusion Destiny package, it's going to increase the amount of bricks that you play in your deck, so I don't know if I really recommend it that much, but it's still very, very powerful. Remember that when you use Branded Fusion, you cannot summon non-fusion monsters from the extra deck that turn, so that's the reason why Verte is a little whack in this deck, because it's actually a little hard to get 2 monsters on the field without going into Branded Fusion. The Frightful package, pretty cool, but all it really does is either Guardian Chimera on your own turn, or Masquerade. It doesn't really get you to summon Lubellion easily, unless you physically hard drew Fallen of Albaz, which is not even a good thing anyways. Anyways, the Light Hex Sealed Fusion with Dragoon, I already said in my combo video that I didn't really like that. If you want to play Super Poly, there are a lot of targets that are good. I mean, basically, almost all of the Despia monsters are great Super Poly targets, but also the Predaplan monsters, so Trifu Verdum, Starving Venom, Dragos Tapelia, Phoenix Enforcer is not a Super Poly target, but it's a monster that you can summon with Fusion Destiny, and Mudragon of the Swamp, probably my favorite, personally, Super Poly target. And yeah, Paradise Branded is a card that people are also experimenting with, but honestly, I'm not a really big fan of the card. It doesn't protect you from Ash, it only protects your activations from getting negated, not their actual effects. So if you get Ash, you're screwed, because it's basically like Meltdown. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.